Hello everyone and welcome to our video and podcast brought to you by CEO Apparel in conjunction with Kuyasha Media. Now today we're doing the things that we normally do, man. We're trying to build our community of entrepreneurs, and today I am joined by the man that I call the man with the magic hands. And I've dubbed him that man because his entity has literally just gone to gold. He is an Actuarial Science graduate from Wits University, currently working in corporate, but he's also the CEO and founder of bespoke tailored suits entity, Suitability. He goes by the name of Awakhiwe Kona. Hello, Awa.
Hi, Z.
How are you? I'm great, thank you. And how are you?
Fantastic.
You should be great. You look great, first of all.
Thank you for having me as well.
Man, it's a pleasure. Okay. Now, I don't know. You have to take us through this. There's one July morning in 2016. You woke up and then you decided, I want to start a suit business. Like, what happened?
Okay, so for me, I've always been into fashion, but affording fashion was impossible on my side. So the idea came through after, I'd go downtown in Joburg, buy 50 rand blazers, get them altered, reconditioned and all that. So, that's where the idea was sparked. So my girlfriend came up with the idea, honestly, so I give credit to her. She's
yes.
Why didn't you make money out of it,
And I just have to say that his girlfriend is a friend of mine, so there's this thing that's going on.
Yes,
we have ideas. Let's make sure that you get girlfriends like us, people.
Yeah, she's got a lot of ideas. So that's how the idea came into play. So what I'll do is we'll go buy those jackets for 50 rand. I remember my first investment was 500 bucks literally. So we'll go buy those jackets, get them reconditioned, retailored, right, to make sure it's a perfect fit. And then what would happen afterwards, we'd sell those jackets. I think the first jacket I sold was for 350 rand with a profit of almost 100% at the time. And so it was pretty cool. So, and then, that business model didn't seem viable at the time. Because you see, the jackets were coming from Europe. Their build and our build as Africans is quite different. They're quite short and stout, and we are relatively taller and, slimmer and stuff. So, that's one thing that I had to consider. And then we moved from buying those second-hand blazers to actually buying brand new suits, right? Then that's how it grew. And then buying brand new suits also seemed not to be viable for me because I wanted to add my creativity. So of course, with those ready-made suits, I'd go ahead and get the design altered a bit, but it wasn't too exciting. I wanted to bring more creativity into it. So that's when Suitability became Suitability Bespoke.
Yeah.
So bespoke meaning it's custom tailored from scratch.
Yeah.
So we'd have our signature in it. The client will also have a say in how the outfit looks. So we haven't looked back since.
That's absolutely amazing. Now, one of the things that I want to tackle with you, Awa, is this concept, especially with your business, which is accelerated growth. That's what you experienced. You've got 12,000 followers on Instagram. You have 5,000 followers on Facebook. You went from only making 5 suits a month to like 30 suits a month. How do you explain that? How did you get your entity to that point?
I think for me, I'm really a biased figure because if I look at how this has grown, at first it wasn't about making money. Even now, it's also still not about making money. So I feel if you get into something with a passion, right? So I've always been obsessed with making things happen, improving things. So for me, it has always been improving my quality. So what happens mostly is a client comes to us in January, and then they come to us again in June, and the way they react, it gives me goosebumps. So that's one thing that gives me motivation, basically to say, okay, I can't wait for this guy to come again and see how we've transited. But I think the biggest thing is to get positive feedback. I think we've managed to associate ourselves with very smart people who are business minded, who are also very fashion inclined. They know fashion and understand everything. It's also about the team. It's not a one-man show type of business. And at the end of the day, it's all about making sure that you dazzle your clients, right? make sure that everyone that you come across, they actually feel the power that, you come with, the presence. Whenever they're in your space, they get to understand what's different about you. There are a billion other suit designers in this country, but we've managed to take a stand and have a solid footing in the industry. So I think it all goes down to how you present yourself, how you present your work, and I think
and customer service, and
yes.
That's how you say that you got traffic to your business, because it's how you treated your customers. And at the end of the day, when you're passionate about something, then you're going to do your utmost best to make sure that you bring a product of quality. So people out there, make sure that you're passionate about what you want to do, as well as bring a product forth that is of a high quality. How did you choose your team?
Okay, so I think it is very important. So before I go there, a business case, I feel for us as entrepreneurs is not relevant. The moment you write down a business case, it messes up your whole plan because you don't have a plan. As you start, you're just thinking, I've got this idea, and then you start, and then you see this is not working, you have to cut it off, right? So for me, the scalability of the business is, I've worked very much on my own, right? I've had a problem of not really believing in other people because people have let me down before. So I've always wanted to do things on my own. But there comes a time whereby you have to basically move things around, right? You have to delegate, right? So when the time comes to delegate, you need to delegate. Train people. For me, I like saying I'm creating improved clones of myself, right? So there's a gentleman, his name is Xhosa. He's one of our stylists at Suitability, and I've literally created a clone of myself in him. But the most interesting part is he holds more skill than myself in fashion. So he brings a bigger component in fashion than I actually do. So I find that very interesting, and I think as entrepreneurs we need to look into that, So scalability, if you understand the story about McDonald's, one of the first franchisers in the world, those guys, the owner, had a problem with actually creating franchises. So you can't scale something by just having one entity. You can't trust anyone. It's a problem because now you can't grow it. You can't multiply yourself into that. But you have to create clones of yourself. You need to be there. You need to make sure that you are there even when you're not. So I think that's one of the things that has allowed us to scale a lot. And you mentioned something about the service, right?
Yeah.
Service is something very big, especially in the fashion industry. We've seen on to date my what's that the wedding show.
Oh, My Perfect Wedding.
We see people are delivering suits on the same day as the wedding. It's problematic. People don't want that. People want to walk in, right? Find a confident stylist there, because people already have a mentality or a perception about us stylists and designers that we are never on time, we are not professional. So that's one of the things that we've worked on, actually trying to make sure that people understand us. Most of our clients are people who like to have proper conversations. By proper conversations, I mean people can talk current affairs, So when they get into the studio and you can entertain them with that, you build something bigger than just clientele, but a family that, they can even call you, hey my guy, this, what do you think about this? And there's one client was sending me videos about land grabs, because we've been talking about this land conversation a lot. So it's quite interesting, and that's one of the things that allow us to grow as a brand.
I love that, because I also truly believe in building a rapport with your customers. Now, you spoke about one of your employees actually having a little bit of more experience in the fashion industry than you. And I love that. Now, how do you go about networking, and how do you best network? Because I also feel like it plays on that. How do you meet a guy who's got more experience than you, and then you're like, actually, you know what? Come work for me. How do you go about, networking and meeting people?
Okay, so I think the first ID that you use when you're networking, your first business card is your suit, right? So, I recently started a new job at Discovery, it's crazy, how when you just walk into a building and people just start staring at you, people are giving comments and all that. That's one thing that drives your confidence as a person, look the part. when you look the part
Yeah.
and when you walk,
Yeah.
your chest is out, your head straight facing forward, you know, and people can feel your presence. It's hard to ignore such a person, you know.
True.
So I think that's one of the fundamental principles of networking. And then the second principle, as DJ Spoo says, kick doors down. You understand? Don't be afraid. I mean, the most that a person can do to you is kill you, but no one is about to kill you for approaching them.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Okay, that's amazing. I want to make sure that you just got what he did there, because it was literally just advertising, you know, himself and his entity. He was like, it's about what you wear, it's about your suit. So if you want to be confident and, you know, just becoming about yourself, suitability is the place to go. Just to make sure that they got that part. Now, I'm sure it hasn't been an easy journey. I'm sure there are mistakes that you've made along the way. I need for you to please warn our startup entrepreneurs about, you know, some of the mistakes that you made and, you know.
All right, so I've made a lot of mistakes. I think the reason why I'm where I am is I'm still growing, but the reason why we've managed to achieve what we've achieved at this point is acknowledging mistakes, you know. The first issue is your team, right? So for me to get to the point of saying I want to work with such a group of people is because of experience. So I've worked with people who have not been very reliable, from my creative team, right down to the tailors who actually bring the creativity to the table, you understand, and bring it to life. I've worked with people who are not reliable, where when you call them, guys, we've got an appointment with the client today for a fitting. In 3 days time, I hope everything is ready, you know, and then they tell you, no, you can come, everything 100%. And we've even missed deadlines, right? So for me, of course, I studied Actuarial Science, so risk is part of my mindset, you know. So when I'm meeting a client on Tuesday, I tell my team we're meeting them on Monday or on Sunday, just to make sure we've got that leeway.
Lie a little bit.
Yeah, so according to them,
Yeah.
they've missed the deadline because we're supposed to get things ready on Monday, and then they get them ready on Tuesday. Well, it works for me, but it's not something I can rely on. So I think I've made that mistake, not investing enough money and time in getting a proper team. I've learned that, and I've paid, I think, an ultimate price. I mean, I've lost clients when we met for the first time, because I mean, you can meet a client and dazzle them. When they're talking to you, they feel confident. I'm going to enjoy this product. And then when the service comes, not so much. You understand? And then the other thing that I've learned, how do you manage finances? You understand? I think finances is one of the biggest thing as an entrepreneur that you need to manage properly. You need to have a separate, especially if it's a one-man show for starters, you need to be able to separate your own finances from the business finances, right? Because you will never understand how fast your business is growing, because at some point you're using the business card to pay for whatever you're paying for the business, or your card, because, the closest is ATM is an FNB ATM, and you bank with ATM with FNB for your personal banking. So it's one of those things that one needs to look at. And then the other thing is, I think you need to choose your battles as a person. Choose your clientele wisely.
Yeah.
You understand? So sometimes there are very difficult clients that when they come, right? So for me, I've learned my lesson. And when a client comes and then I say that this client is not going to derive any value from us, let them go.
You've let clients go?
I've let clients go. That's because, what's going to happen is, by the way, when you service a client, you are trying to get 10 other clients through that client. So if the client is not going to give you that, then let them go. Because what they're going to do is they're going to spread that message about you to 100 other people. So you have to be very cognizant of that. And I feel fundamentally, you need to choose your clients wisely. I know it's some discrimination, but I think it's very important. Your first interaction with the client, you need to know how this client, will they derive value? So I've went ahead and told the client that, no, you're not. I feel at this point you will not derive the most value, because they keep on telling you about this big brand no, but I want it to look like this suit for this guy. I'm like, no, you're not. Let's look at my product and then we can work from this, you understand? So that's one of the things that as an entrepreneur or a business person, you need to look at.
And then just quickly, you mentioned something about finances. And I remember there was a time I also tried to start a business. There was a time when I was just like, I want to start something. And you were like, Z, be careful. You need resources.
Yeah.
So please get into that about the resources that you need when you start off.
Okay, so my belief is you don't need. I started a business with 500 rand, and now I won't mention how much money we're making per annum. But
come on, we want to know.
But it's very important to understand how you can use your resources at your disposal. I mean, there's NYDA, but NYDA can go so long so far to actually help us as entrepreneurs. You have to use what is at your disposal. I mean, I've met a lady who started her own catering business by just firstly selling, those all gold thingy bottles.
Yes.
And then she'll wrap it around and create craft out of it, and then she'll sell them. She'll go to a dump yard, a scrap yard, pick those things up, and then make craft out of it. So that's how she grew a business, a huge business, So I believe, there are people who say, I want to start an IT company, but I don't have computers. I want this. No, don't start there. Because once you start there, you won't understand the struggles. Go to an internet cafe, whatever, have a subscription there per month. You go sit there the whole day. We can't work like, I need money. I'm not starting a business because I don't have capital.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Yeah.
Because you didn't start off with your studio, but now
Correct,
you have a studio and you're doing amazing.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then lastly, so sad that it's coming to an end, but lastly, because you are a black-owned business and you are a black man who's doing so well, what do you think other black entrepreneurs need to learn?
Okay, so the fundamental that we need to learn, the fundamental principle is number one, service, like we've mentioned. I cannot emphasize more on service, the product, right, and pricing. So the issue about pricing is very sensitive. If I come to you and I say, I'm selling this cap, right? You can't tell me that this cap is 2 rand if it's not worth 2 rand. You can tell me this cap is 1,000 rand, and then we'll think, okay, what makes it 1,000 rand? Then you tell me, okay, no, the reason why you're paying 1,000 rand, like those Gucci bags, well, it could mean that there is value in the brand. We've worked so hard to build the goodwill of this brand. So it needs to be justifiable. You can't just come and say, no, support black people, support black business. We are sitting here, we're black businesses, please support us. No. Support us because you like the product. If it's not worth it, then do not support us, you understand? So that's the viewpoint you need to have as a black business person, to say, okay, you're going to face a lot of challenges. We've had to build our trust. People can't just simply believe in a black man. I don't know what's wrong with us, but that's our problem. So you have to build that trust, build that rapport, and get people to believe in what you stand for. So I think that's one of the things that we need to look at as black business people.
Thank you so much, Awa. Thank you so much, Awa, for coming through, for talking to us about, your entity suitability and your journey as an entrepreneur. And one of the main things that I'm going to come out of this is the fact that when you're networking and when you're trying to make your first impression, make sure that you look oh so amazing. And if you want to look amazing, then this is the man that you need to go to for your suits. And you also make women's suits, right?
Oh yes, we recently opened a new a mini brand.
Yeah.
I call it Suitability Signora. So we're just trying to build it up. So yeah, ladies are welcome.
So I'm going to be rocking my Suitability Signora soon, hopefully. And make sure your boyfriend or your guys rock our suits as well. That's it for our podcast as well as video for today. Catch us next time, man, as we talk to another entrepreneur as we build our CEO apparel community of entrepreneurs.